Hey, drop a comment with your city or country and hit subscribe if you're into daily drama like this. Also, check out my other channel link in bio for more revenge narratives you'll love. I never imagined I'd star in a viral Karen showdown, but life loves a plot twist. My name's Malik Johnson, a 38-year-old corporate attorney living in Atlanta's suburbs. Last month, I was just enjoying my new dream home on Pineview Avenue, a reward for 15 years of grinding through law school and climbing the ladder at Carter and Ellis law firm. The colonial-style house had 3 bedrooms, a big yard, and a cozy 600-square-foot guest house out back that I planned to rent on Airbnb for extra cash. I'd spent weeks painting it, installing appliances, and picking out furniture to make it perfect for business travelers or tourists. But one Wednesday, my quiet plans got hijacked. I'd taken a rare day off to meet an internet technician at 2 p.m. for Wi-Fi setup in the guest house. Around noon, coffee in hand, I wandered into my backyard, savoring the spring breeze and the scent of blooming azaleas along my fence. As I neared the guest house, something felt wrong. The curtains, which I'd left open to air out fresh paint, were drawn shut. I wondered if my real estate agent had stopped by for photos, but we hadn't scheduled anything. Then I saw muddy footprints on the new welcome mat I'd placed 2 days earlier. My pulse quickened. I heard shuffling inside. Someone was in there, rifling through drawers. "Hello," I called, my voice a mix of confusion and nerves. The noise stopped. Silence. I turned the key, pushed the door open slowly, and called again. "Is someone in here?" What I saw floored me. The guest house, my pride and joy, looked like a tornado had hit it. Clothes were flung across the sofa, fast food wrappers littered the coffee table, suitcases were stacked against the wall, and the kitchenette sink overflowed with dirty dishes. The fridge door hung open, stuffed with groceries I hadn't bought. Standing by the bedroom, frozen, was a middle-aged white woman with bleached blonde hair, wrapped in a pink bathrobe and fuzzy slippers. She looked about 50, her face etched with a permanent scowl. Her shock at seeing me morphed into indignation. "Who are you, and what are you doing in my house?" she demanded, hands on hips. I blinked, stunned by the absurdity. "Your house? Ma'am, this is my guest house on my property. The question is, who are you and what are you doing here?" Her face twisted with disdain. "Your property? Don't be ridiculous. I've been living here for a week. I rented this place through roomfinder.com from a Mr. Ethan Caldwell." She fumbled in her robe, pulling out a crumpled paper. "I paid first and last month's rent, plus a security deposit, in cash, to Mr. Caldwell. He gave me the keys." She dangled a set that looked eerily like the spares I'd kept in my garden shed. I shook my head, a headache brewing. "There's no Ethan Caldwell. I'm Malik Johnson, and I closed on this property 3 months ago. I've never listed it on any rental site." Her name, I'd later learn, was Deborah Langley, and she scanned me with contempt. "Well, someone's mistaken. I have a legally binding agreement, and I'm not leaving. I have tenant rights, so why don't you go back to wherever you came from, and we'll pretend this never happened." Her words, laced with prejudice, made my blood boil, but years of legal training kept me calm. This woman had no idea who she was dealing with. "Ma'am, I understand you think you rented this legitimately, but you've been scammed. This is my property, and I have the documents to prove it. I'll give you time to gather your things and leave, or we can involve the police." Deborah's face turned crimson, matching my azaleas. "Police?" she spat, clutching her bathrobe like I'd insulted her. "Go ahead, call them. I paid good money for this place, and I'm not intimidated by some," she faltered, eyeing my button-down and slacks, searching for a slur she couldn't quite land on. I took a deep breath, recalling countless depositions where composure was key. "Ms. Langley, it's Mrs. Langley," she snapped, as if her marital status added clout. "Mrs. Langley," I corrected. "That paper's fraudulent. I never authorized anyone to rent this out. We can go to my main house right there." I pointed to my home through the window, "and I'll show you my deed, tax statements, and mortgage documents." Her eyes narrowed. "Anyone can fake documents. For all I know, you're squatting in the main house." The accusation was so wild I laughed, which only enraged her. "Mrs. Langley, I've been patient despite finding you illegally in my property. I sympathize if you've been scammed, but your issue is with this Caldwell, not me." I pulled out my phone, showing photos of the guest house renovation. These are from the past 3 months, and I'm an attorney. I document everything. Her eyes flickered with doubt at attorney, but she scoffed. An attorney? And I'm the Queen of England. The casual racism stung, but I'd faced it before in courtrooms, at firm events, everywhere. Yes, Mrs. Langley, corporate law? I know you're trespassing. You can start packing or wait for the police. Your choice. I turned to leave, but her panicked voice stopped me. You can't throw me out. I have nowhere to go. All my money went to Caldwell. I paused, curious. How did this deal happen? Did you meet him? Her bravado cracked, revealing vulnerability. It was online. The listing looked professional, photos, everything. We messaged through the site. He asked for cash to avoid fees, said it'd be cheaper. We met at a coffee shop downtown. He was well-dressed, had business cards, gave me the keys after I paid. A classic rental scam, rampant in Atlanta. Mrs. Langley, that's a common scam. Someone broke into my property, stole my keys, and conned you. I'm sorry, but you're still here without permission. Her face hardened. That's convenient for you. For all I know, you're working with Caldwell to double-dip collect my rent, then kick me out to rent again. I nearly laughed, but held back. Instead, I handed her my bar association and business cards. Verify my employment. I'm calling the non-emergency police line. As I stepped outside, her demeanor shifted to cold calculation. No need, she said, dialing. I'm calling 911. We'll let them sort this out. Before I could protest, she was on with the dispatcher. There's an intruder in my home, threatening me. He's a large black man claiming my house is his. I'm afraid for my safety. Send someone to 1482 Pineview Avenue, the guest house. My jaw dropped at her lies. She'd weaponized my race to paint me as a threat in my own property. I activated my phone's voice recorder, showing her it was on, and called the non-emergency line to clarify I was the homeowner. I also turned on my security cameras, installed last week, covering the backyard and guest house entrance. My neighbor, Dr. Samuel Lynn, waved from his garden, pruning rosacea witness if things went south. I texted my colleague, Andre, a criminal defense attorney. Squatter in guest house called cops on me. I'm in my backyard. Heads up if this goes bad. He replied instantly, camera on. Don't move. I'm 5 minutes away if needed. 2 police cruisers arrived at 12:47 p.m. For officers, 3 men, 1 woman approached my front door. I called out, "Officers, I'm back here by the guest house." They rounded the house, hands near their weapons. I stood still, hands visible, phone in palm. "Good afternoon, officers. I'm Malik Johnson, the homeowner. I called about a squatter." Officer Daniels stepped forward. "We got 2 calls. Can I see ID?" I announced my movement's second nature as a black man handing over my driver's license and bar association card. "I found this woman in my guest house. She claims she rented it from an Ethan Caldwell, but I've never authorized a rental." Deborah burst out before Officer Rodriguez could knock, clutching her bathrobe, feigning distress. "Thank goodness you're here. This man's harassing me, claiming I'm trespassing. I've lived here a week with a rental agreement." She thrust her crumpled paper at Rodriguez, who passed it to Daniels. It was a crude forgery, signed Ethan Caldwell. Daniels asked Deborah for payment proof. I paid cash. The receipts packed away since this man threatened me. I interjected calmly. I never threatened her. I asked her to leave after explaining she was scammed. Daniels returned my ID. "Mr. Johnson, got proof of ownership?" I showed my deed, renovation photos with timestamps, and security footage of Deborah moving in without my knowledge. My cameras show she entered while I was at work. Deborah paled. "Those could have been installed yesterday. Photos prove nothing." Rodriguez asked, "Ma'am, did you verify the landlord or property ownership?" Deborah faltered. The listing seemed legit. Caldwell was professional. Rodriguez's tone was firm but kind. "This sounds like a rental scam. Someone posed as the owner, took your cash, and vanished. Another officer called from the shed, locks tampered with." I nodded. "That's where I kept spare keys. They went missing last week." Deborah tried one last angle. "Even if there's a misunderstanding, I have tenant rights. There's an eviction process." Daniels shook his head. "Tenant rights require a legitimate agreement. If you were scammed, you're trespassing, even unknowingly." Her shoulders slumped, defeat creeping in. Where am I supposed to go? All my money. I felt a flicker of sympathy, but Rodriguez stepped in. Ma'am, let's pack your things. Deborah doubled down, pointing at me. He knew about the scam. Maybe he didn't run it, but he let someone collect rent and did nothing. I stared, incredulous. Mrs. Langley, I found you today. How could I know about a scam beforehand? Rodriguez intervened. Ma'am, false accusations won't help. Focus on packing. We can file a scam report at the station. Deborah's tears came, calculated and precise. I'm a woman alone. I don't feel safe packing with him here. Can an officer stay? Rodriguez nodded, following her inside. Daniels turned to me. Mr. Johnson, sorry for the mix-up. These scams are common. Want to press trespassing charges. I weighed my options. Her false 911 call was dangerous, but charges would complicate things. Not now, officer. I want her gone. But please document her false report. She called me a threatening black man to escalate things. Daniels nodded grimly. We'll note it. Dispatch recordings are on file. Deborah took 2 hours to pack, sighing dramatically and muttering passive-aggressive jabs. I offered a rideshare to her sisters in Buckhead, wanting her out fast. She agreed reluctantly, snapping, I'm not thanking you for this mess. As she left, she shot, This isn't over. I'm getting an attorney. I nodded, unfazed. You're welcome to, Mrs. Langley. Safe trip. The officers left after I gave a statement, and I collapsed on my couch with wine, texting Andre. Resolved, but you won't believe this. Drinks at Hudson's, 8? He replied, First round's on me. Then my doorbell rang. Expecting the technician, I found a courier with an envelope from Baxter & Klein, a law firm I didn't know. It was a letter threatening to sue for unlawful eviction, emotional distress, and theft, claiming I conspired with Caldwell to defraud Deborah of $3,000. I called Andre, forwarding the letter. She's suing me. He laughed, stunned. Text your address. I'm there in 20. I compiled evidence, security footage, police reports, renovation photos. Andre arrived, and we planned a counterattack. I enlisted paralegal Jamal to dig into Baxter & Klein and Deborah. The firm was a small outfit chasing quick settlements. Deborah had 3 prior landlord disputes, all settled out of court by small landlords avoiding fights. I called Lawrence Baxter, the firm's partner. After identifying myself, I said, I'm surprised you'd file such baseless claims without due diligence. He cited Deborah's documented agreement. Have you verified it? Or spoken to the police about her false report? Silence. I have my deed, footage, and reports proving she's lying. I'll countersue for defamation and malicious prosecution if this proceeds. Baxter suggested a meeting. My office, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Bring her documents. In our conference room, I dismantled her claims with evidence. Baxter, alone, looked defeated. I demanded claim withdrawal, an apology, and $2,750 for damages. He promised a response by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Next morning, Baxter emailed to drop Deborah's case. Then she called, furious. You scared off my lawyer. I recorded her. Mrs. Langley, I presented facts. If he withdrew, that's his call. She screamed. You set me up to humiliate me. I saw you on the news big tech case. I'll tell your clients what you did unless you pay $10,000. I stayed calm. You're attempting blackmail, a felony. Cease contact and get counsel. She hung up, vowing, You haven't heard the last of me. I filed a restraining order and a countersuit for defamation, extortion, and distress, citing her scam history. 3 weeks later, Jamal uncovered a bombshell. 7 similar Atlanta scams featured in Ethan Caldwell, a middle-aged white man. Deborah's phone records tied Caldwell to her son-in-law, Ryan Langley. They ran a fraud. Ryan posed as a landlord, collected cash, and Deborah occupied properties, claiming tenant rights to extort settlements. They'd hit 12 properties, earning $40,000. I gave the DA evidence keys, fake agreements, texts planning my property scam. They were arrested for fraud, conspiracy, and extortion. Media exploded. Attorney busts rental fraud ring. Ryan got 5 years. Deborah, 3 years probation and restitution. My guest house was repaired, ready for rental. I declined interviews, but urged owners to verify tenants. What started as a squatter became a legal victory, proving evidence and resolve can checkmate even the boldest cons.